Hey, do. Sorry. Was cutting a watermelon. And then the alarm went off and the clock in the kitchen didn't even say 7 yet. So how is everybody? Glad to be back. Tonight we're playing with the Sophisticated Sled. Um, Not so much the stamps as we are going to use the die cuts. All right, let me just, I have a piece of scrap here. And we're using some designer series paper. And this is, let me just pull the packs out. I didn't even write the names down, but we're using the Country Lace designer series paper. And we're also using the Country Woods designer series paper. All right, so this is the Country Lace, this is the Country Woods, and sorry that the lighting looks horrible again. Hey, Karen. You miss me, I miss you too, Do. And I actually am using the Pebbled Path cardstock along with the Smoky Slate. All right, something a little different. And I hate to tell you, but I didn't do the insides. How terrible is that? So we'll start with this easy card here with the sled. It's all die cuts. And we're going to start with a basic white card base that's 11 by 4 1/4, and we scored it at 5 1/2. Okay. And then we're going to, of course, layer it up. And we're layering it up with our Pebbled Path. And this is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And then our designer series paper, 5 1/4 by 4. And I'm really sorry it's so dark in here. I don't know why. All right. Yeah, I did leave to come do the inside. I cleaned off my desk and I never get anything finished. It's been a hectic couple weeks. All right, so let's just layer this together. All right. Hope everybody's doing good. It actually is the weather is quite nice here tonight. There's a beautiful breeze. We've had a lot of rain. And the heat finally broke this afternoon, which is nice. I didn't turn the air conditioners off because it's still warm, but I did turn them down. All right. So we're just layering that together, okay? Yeah. So like you said, I went, oh wow, 70. Ooh, nice. And the air conditioner is off. No, just can't do that yet. I wish I could open a window, but I just can't. I have a tendency to get overheated. All right, so there's our card base. Then what I did was I pulled the dies, and the dies for this set are really nice. So here is the sled itself, and when you die cut it, here's the sled itself, and there's actually little pieces that come out, so you can see the wood pieces on the sled. All right, and it's all separated. And then here are the little spots where it would be attached to the bottom of the sled. All right, and then it also has the arm where you would steer your sled. All right, so it's 2 pieces, and I use this piece right here, and this is in the smoky slate. All right, then the bottom of the sled is this one here, this large one, okay, and I did that in the pebbled path. And that should be it for the sled. So how are we going to put it together? We're just going to grab our pieces and we're going to add some glue. Just make sure these pieces are out. And I'm just going to add a bit of glue to these individual pieces. And I'm not really too sure where it's going to hit. So I'm just going to add my glue down the length. I'm going to get my mat for a second so I can grab this, and we're going to just assemble this sled. So we're going to line it up on the bottom piece, all right, and hopefully it catches. So here is the start to our sled, all right. Then we're going to take the arm piece. This is the steering mechanism, and I wasn't sure if this piece would go this way, but I put it this way, all right? And then we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to add a bit of glue, and we're going to add that right here to the top of the sled. If my voice sounds a little funny, it's because I was just watching the RNC from, I guess it was yesterday's, where the 98-year-old veteran spoke, and it was just so touching. What a beautiful, beautiful man. Or I get all upset when veterans speak. I just get so upset. All right, so there's our little sled. Now it's going to go up on a piece of pebbled path, and it's 3 5/8 by 2 3/8. And I grabbed an old snowflake, I don't know, can you see that? An old snowflake embossing folder and embossed a basic white piece, which is 3 1/2 by 2 1/4. Hey, Kathy. Thank you. You want to visit, Liara? That would be great. So I'm just gonna glue these 2 layers together so they're ready, because I want to show you how I did this piece here. Okay, I did do one already, and that's because of the berries. I wanted to make sure that it was dry and I didn't ruin it for this card. All right, so here's the layer. And then I have my little bird that I already stamped using pebbled path and die cut it, so we wouldn't have to do that. And I'm just going to grab a piece of scrap. These are my images for Patreon that we're going to color. So I'll use this piece over here. All right. And I wanted to show you what I did. So here's the stamp itself. Let's get it on a block. All right. And I'm going to grab some pebbled path, because I didn't want it to be dark with black, but I didn't want it to be a light color either. So the pebbled path, it's not so dark as the memento would be. All right. And what I did, I'm going to just show you quick. I took some light lemon lime twist. I want to make sure I get, and I grabbed the light shaded spruce. All right. And all the leaves, I just quickly my light shaded spruce is running out of ink. So all I did was come into these leaves and just give them a quick coloring. Okay. And then I took the lemon lime twist and colored over that completely. Now, lemon lime twist has more alcohol than the shaded spruce. So it will tone down that shaded spruce and it'll add some lighter green to the leaf so it doesn't look like it is a completely colored in one color leaf. All right. And then for the bow, I grabbed some Poppy Parade and I just I'm just quick coloring in the bow and I'll just do half of it. Okay. And then I grabbed my light and dark cherry cobbler. And with the cherry cobbler, I came in to add some shadows, just so we can add some different color so the bow doesn't look so flat. And then I'm going to extend that color with the light cherry cobbler. All right. Just adding a little bit more color. And then I'm going to go back to my light Poppy Parade and just extend it a little further. And I still want that lightness for the ribbon. All right. So then when it dries, again, the ribbon has a few different colors. It doesn't look so flat. All right. And that's what I did to complete the ribbon. Now this little sprig has lots of little berries. And instead of coloring them and leaving it looking flat again, or using a lot of embellishments, excuse me, I grabbed the pearlized enamel effects in real red. And when you use this, you want to just hold it up and squeeze it a little. You want to get the air out. And you want to squeeze it just until you see it coming out the end. And then you're going to dot each of these little berries. Okay? And you want to just push, squeeze, and lift. Now, when you do that, you may notice, and you probably won't be able to see it, but sometimes there's a little point that sticks up, but as it's drying, the berry will become round. So I'm just going to put that aside so it doesn't get ruined and show you, here's the one I did, okay? It's already dry. The enamel effects takes probably about 15-20 minutes to really dry really well. And then when you feel it, you can actually feel the berries on this layer, all right? So here is that little sprig. And then I have this little cardinal here. And for the cardinal, we're just going to color him in completely with Poppy Parade. So we're just going to make sure he's nice and colored. Okay. And then I'm going to grab that light cherry cobbler just to add a little bit of shadowing to him. And I'm going to grab some Daffodil Delight to fill in his beak. And then to make his face look like it was a little bit darker, I grabbed a a dark marker and just went around where his eyes and beak is, just to darken that black up a little bit, just to distinguish that face. All right. I know it's very, very tiny. The berries are the pearlized enamel effects. All right. I'm not really too sure if they are available still. I have so much of that left. All right, so let's pull in our card. We're going to grab this layer and we're going to grab some dimensionals. Let me get some large dimensionals here. I have to open up a new one. I think I used them all last time. And we're going to just pop this up onto the front of the card. All right. Let's turn it over. Even though it's cool outside, it's warm in here tonight. I might have to turn that fan on. All right, so we're just going to center this. Hopefully it's on there straight. And then grab our sled. And we're also going to pop our sled up. So you just want to be mindful that you put your dimensionals on and they will fit in the slats of the sled. All right. I'm just going to put one more. Will it fit here? Yep, we'll put it right there. All right. So we want this sled to be popped up. And I'm going to add it to the front of the card at an angle. So there's our sled. We're going to grab our flowers, and I'm actually just going to adhere them to the top of the sled. I'm just going to add some glue down the center, and I'm going to add this to the sled, and you can see that I do have it on there straight. All right, so we're just going to hold that in place. Make sure it sticks. And then our little cardinal, we're just going to add him right to the side of the sled. So he's sitting right up there. All right. Now these are the 3D berries embellishments. If you don't want to use them as the berries, they do have individual ones here. All right. In clear and then in the red. But if you didn't want to use these 3 at a time, you can separate them. They're on one, if you pick it up, it is on one glue dot. So you can separate them. I'm just going to put one bunch of berries in that corner and one bunch of berries in this corner. All right, and we're going to leave it just like that. Nice and plain on the outside. Now for the inside, I have a basic white 5 3/8 by 4 1/8 and a basic white 5 1/4 by 4. Now I'm just going to grab my mat and let's see what we should put on here. I think I'm going to add the sentiment. I hope your days are filled with fun and laughter. And I'm going to use that because that's the feeling you get when you're going to sleigh ride, right? And I'm just going to add a sentiment right in the center here. Whoop, look, I got a spot. And we're just going to glue this. Let's use some seal. Whoops. Lay this in. And then we can glue it to the inside of our card. Just leaving it very plain, just with our sentiment and the sled on the front. All right, so there we go. Boy, it's so dark. Can't stand it. All right, so there is our first card. A little bit of coloring, our die cuts. Okay. Now for the second card, I again have a basic white. Let me just grab this so everything doesn't fall out. The basic white card base, but this time it's 8.5 by 5.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4. Okay, and then we're going to layer it up. Now I'm going to layer it up with a 5 3/8 by 4 1/8 pebbled path, and then I have the Country Woods designer series paper. Now before we even do anything and glue anything, I'll just grab my, that's clear. I want to just see what I did with. It must be on my desk. Let me just peek under here. I have so much stuff on my desk. Oh, here it is right here in front of me. We're going to grab some white embossing powder. And I'm going to grab my Versamark. Now you can see on the back of this layer, can you see the snowflakes? All right. Well, in this set, there's these 3 little snowflakes right here. And what I did was I grabbed my Versamark and those little snowflakes. I'm just going to quick grab a piece of scrap paper. All right. And we're just going to ink up. And we are going to stamp this background with some snowflakes. And we're just putting them all over, not worrying too much about where we put them. We want to just put them on this background. All right. And we'll grab our embossing powder. Get them all covered up. Just going to lift this, and instead of covering it completely with powder, I'm just going to shift it down this way so it hits these on the bottom. Make sure I got them all. Now, it's very subtle. You can just about see them. And then we're just going to heat this up. All right. So you can you see? Oh, there we go. There's a good shot. Let me heat up my gun, my heat tool. Just to add something to the background. All right, so now the background has the snowflakes. And just as a reminder, when you do use your heat tool, make sure you let it heat up before you start working with it, because as you can see, it does warp the paper just a little bit if you're not mindful of a nice hot heat tool before you start. So I'm going to use some glue. I'm going to make sure I put it around the edges because I want these corners and the edges of this layer to actually adhere. And let's grab it over here. So we're going to lay this down on our pebbled path. Now I will have all the dimensions on my blog in the morning. All right. So that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to do the same thing just in case that designer series paper happens to pull on this cardstock. So we're just layering this down on the front of our card. And you can see all those pretty little snowflakes. Okay. So let's just put that aside a second. I'm going to pull those dies back out. And now we are going to work with this one here, which is the skates. This one here, which are the blades. And then we have this one here that are the laces. And this one, which is a sprig. All right. Now I took the sprig. Let me just put this aside for a second. And I actually die cut 1, 2. I did do 4, but I did cut 1 in half already. All right. So I have 4 of them, and I'm just going to take my snips and just snip them in half. And you'll notice that on these pieces, there are little poke outs, but it's really not necessary to poke them out because we're going to be creating a wreath with those. And then we have our ice skates. Okay. Now you'll notice in the ice skates, there's a slit right here. Can you see that? There's a slit right here in the ice skates. And what you're going to do is grab a little bit of glue. And we just want to put, I'm trying very hard to be gentle, just a bit of glue. And then you can grab your, let me just poke that out. Grab your lace, and I did it in white, and you're going to take your lace and you're going to push it into that slit. I don't want it to be pushed in all the way, but you're going to push it into that slit so it does overhang a little bit. I don't know if you can see, but it overhangs the shoe. You can see it right there, but it's tucked into the ice skate. All right, let's do it again. Just poke that out. And I'm going to hold it up here. So we're going to grab some glue very carefully. I don't want to overdo it with the glue. Put that glue on, grab your lace, and you're going to push it into that slit and adhere it to that shoe. The blades I cut out of silver paper, And we're just going to add some more glue to the bottom here. And again, we want to be mindful of how much glue we use. We don't want this glue to get on that silver because it's a little bit hard to get off. And we're just going to line it up at the bottom of the skate. All right, so we're creating a beautiful skate. Let's grab this one. Add a little bit of glue. And again, just get it up there, line it up, and glue it to the bottom of the skate. All right, so now we have a pair of skates. We have our sprigs, and I'm just going to grab a piece of ribbon. And I'm going to cut enough that I don't cut myself short here. And I'm going to grab a piece of the gray twine. All right. And we're going to create a bow. So we're just going to put this through just like that. Now, before we take our tail and put it through this loop, I am just going to feed this string through that loop. All right. Now I can grab my tail, and I want to make sure I don't pull on my string. Oops, let me grab it. All right. And we're going to just tie that tight. So we have our bow. Okay. Get it off my fingers. That's the hardest part. I tied it a little tight, so it's pretty tight on my finger. We want to make sure our loops are the same size, so you can adjust them if you need. We're going to cut these tails so they're pretty even. And then that string is going to lay down because we're going to use this string to hang our skates. Okay? So we'll put that aside. We'll put our skates aside for a second. I'm going to pull in our card. And what I'm going to do is very carefully, I'm going to grab some of the mini dimensionals, and we're going to create our wreath. And what I want to do is find a spot that is the least conspicuous, okay? And we're going to assemble our wreath. Now, I could have used them as whole pieces, but I wanted to try to go at least around in some sort of circle, all right? So that's why I cut them in half. We're going to add the dimensionals to the end of one side. And then I'm going to just lift. I'm going to stick that down. Okay. So we're just going to go around in a circle with these sprigs. So I'm putting my dimensional on one end. All right. And then I'm going to lift this up and stick that underneath. And then just add that little end. Okay. And I'm just going to do this all the way around until we meet up with the other side. Now this wreath looks a little bit smaller than the one I did here, which is fine. Whoops. There, I'm going to have to turn the fan on. It's getting very warm. All right, so there's that piece. And then I am going to add one under here. And I have to take the paper off. All right, let me just turn this fan on. It's too hot. I would think it would be cooler in here since we're playing with snow. All right, so this time I'm going to add a little bit of glue, and that's where my dimensionals are. And then I'm going to take my last piece and just stick it on there. All right, so there we have our wreath. Next, we're going to take our bow, and I'm going to actually grab more than one glue dot. So I'm going to put one, because I want to make sure that this bow stays on here. So we have two little glue dots. We're going to take our bow and we're going to attach it. And I'm just going to pull these strings straight down. All right, let's fluff up our little bow. Just like that. And then we are going to grab our first skate. All right. And I'm actually going to add some seal to the back. And I'm going to grab it and add it to the string. And I'm putting it up a little bit high. All right. So now it's attached to the string. And I'm going to add a dimensional over top of that string. And we're just going to lay that skate down and attach it to the front of the card. Grab your scissors, and we're just going to take that string, and I'm going to cut it right behind that skate. All right, so there's our first skate on our card. We're going to grab our second skate, do the same thing, add some tape. We want this one to be lower, so we're going to add it further down on the string. Grab a dimensional, go over that string, because now it'll hold that string in place, and it will pop up our skate onto the front of the card. Grab your scissors and cut it so it's up and under that skate. All right. Then we're going to grab our berries, and we're just going to randomly put, I'm going to have to put it on here so I can lift it up easier. I'm going to just put some random berries on this wreath, just to add a little bit of color, right? I think I put 2 on. No, I did put 3. I'm just going to add 1 more right up here, just to add a little bit of color to the front of our card. Now for the inside, I'm just going to, there is actually a skate stamp. So if you didn't want to create your skates with those die cuts, you could actually stamp it and die cut it whole. There's a die just for this. I'll show you. Right here. You can use this die right here to cut out this stamp. I'm actually going to, I'm just looking here. Everything disappeared. Oh, here it is. I'm going to grab that pebbled path again and ink up these skates. I'm actually going to stamp it right there on. Look at that. I did it again. You know what? This must be really inky. Let's see. I'm splashing. That's what happened. There we go. So we'll put the skates right there. And let's grab, I think we'll grab Good Tidings. I'm going to put it down here at the bottom. Now you can leave your skates like that, or you could add color to them. Let's add some tape. Add it to our layer. Now don't forget, this month is the bonus days where you get $5 coupons for every $50 you spend. And, oh, did I change the banner? Yes, I believe I did change the banner in our group. What is this month's? Let's see. Let's pull the phone out. Trying to remember, what did I put as our banner? Yes, you'll get a brand new, which I need, a brand new bone folder with every order this month, okay? So, here are tonight's cards. We've got our ice skates and our sled. And we are all ready to play in the snow. So I hope everybody enjoyed these cards. I'll have all the measurements ready on my blog in the morning. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope you all stay cool. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I'm going to go finish cutting. Thanks, Sheila. Let's go finish cutting up a watermelon. So have a great night. And I will talk to everybody soon. Thanks, dude. Talk to you tomorrow. Love you guys. Bye-bye.